Broadcasting from the Any Hour Services Podcast Studios, I'm your host, Mike Wilson, and on this episode of In the House, we're going to be talking about what fiber optic companies don't want you to know about that fast internet they're putting in. Let's go.
We're going to do that every time.
Every time when I do it, you got to get the... Oh, I get it. I get it.
Hey, Jesse, we're going to do a podcast.
Okay, I got it. Thanks for joining the show.
You're welcome. Name that artist.
Jesse Wheeler.
No, it's
T-Pain.
No, it's Master P. That's
Master
right.
P.
I knew it was a P, but
I
anyway.
had no idea.
You had no idea?
No, I'm a country music guy.
I like country music too. My wife doesn't love country music.
And you married her anyway?
What was the quote you said? No, don't. Okay, never mind. In the House is a podcast about the major systems in the house: electrical, plumbing, heating, and air conditioning. Each week I'm joined by a panel of experts, except when we do the drain episodes.
Yeah, we're just idiots.
Yep.
I did not. It was implied with the way that I said
Sorry,
it.
we're
but
okay with it.
I don't think that
we're
you're
square.
idiots.
We're square. Don't worry about it.
Each week we pick a topic, we discuss it in depth. It's meant to be informative and hopefully bring you some value. Jesse and Chasen are joining me back in the studio today, managers over the Drains and Sewer Department at Any Hour Services, and you guys are living it up, right? Living the dream.
Baby.
Totally.
Oh, yeah.
What did one hat say to the other?
That's how we're going to start these off now, huh?
Okay.
I don't know. That's how we're starting this one.
What did one hat say to the other? Man, where do you get
Yeah.
these?
Are these
Laffy
like
Taffy jokes?
dadjokes.com? Like,
I mean, I do consider them dad jokes, but I did not go to dadjokes.com.
Feed us a punchline.
You stay here. I'm going to go on ahead. Get it? The hat's going to go on ahead.
Yeah, I get it.
Okay, cool. So
I hope you don't have to explain that punchline to anybody.
I didn't think that I needed to.
No.
You didn't. It just wasn't funny.
It was hilarious. There are people rewinding the show right now, taking notes.
Yeah, they're
taking notes. Take that, rewind it back.
Oh, who's that one?
This is, I don't know.
Lil Jon. Take that, rewind it back.
Oh, yeah.
Lil Jon got the beat that make the booty go smack. Isn't that how it goes?
And here we are.
Is it Lil Jon?
This is the Dirty Business podcast, so
Well,
fits right in.
wow. Okay.
All right.
So the intro really makes it sound like we've dug up something super juicy on the fiber optic companies, right?
Correct. Using the word juicy in relation to sewer backups seems weird.
Well, I had not said anything about sewer backups yet. That's the thing. Is I said it's the thing that fiber optic companies don't want you to know. I mean, it is a drains episode.
You are a marketer.
So you're probably going to say poop at some point.
Right.
Poop.
There we go. We got that out of the way.
Check that box.
But it's called clickbait. You know,
It works.
You got to
works.
like reel them in. And so I was just trying to figure out a way to make the episode sound more interesting.
See
So
what
if
these
you're
celebrities
listening,
look like now.
if you're listening right now, just because of that thumbnail that you saw that said, you know, the dirty business of fiber optics or whatever.
We're glad to have you.
Whatever Austin decided to say. My apologies. You can leave now because we don't have anything juicy on.
It's over.
Stick around.
But yeah, exactly. You're already here. Enjoy the show. So this whole thing was prompted because of something that I didn't even realize was going on. But Jesse, you told me it's something new that you're encountering more and more nowadays. Tell me the story that you told me the other day.
Well, so what it's referring to is directional drilling. Now, directional drilling is not a new process.
Correct.
It's been around a long time. But it's making its way into your subdivisions and just your standard residential areas because it's a lot less expensive for your cities and states and things like that for them to actually directional drill and put in your internet and your phone and your electrical and all those things because they can do 200 to 300 feet at a time, where before they used to dig up roads. I mean, they still dig things up and stuff like that, but directional drilling saves a lot of time and money. Well, the downside to that is more for the homeowner as far as what damage can be done. It doesn't happen all the time, but damage can be done, and it usually is to a sewer line or something like that. And these directional drilling companies, they don't know. They don't know. They do their best to pretty much shoot a line 400 feet, and they're shooting it underground where they can't really see. And occasionally a sewer lateral is right in the way, and so they'll hit the top of it, the bottom of it, they'll go right through the middle of it. And these are actually hard cables or hard conduits that aren't going to be moved out of the way, and then they eventually cause a sewage backup in that particular home.
And that's where it ties into this being a drain episode, is that it, and there you go. So
and we're back.
That's the dirty business
there
of
it is.
the fiber optic company. So
thanks for listening.
Really, that's kind of the show. Yeah. So they're directional drilling. And when you told me this, and I thought to myself, I actually got a little bit nervous because I thought my house, it's got a fairly, like, even though it's a new house, it's got a fairly new solid black like sewer line going out to the city. And so I'm thinking like, cool, I'm not going to have one of these surprise backups. And even though my house is really old, if you're in an old house, you assume that like every part of it is old, but they've redone the bones of mine before I had to buy it. But then I hear about this directional drilling and I'm like, wait, I could still have something go wrong.
Oh yeah.
Nobody's safe.
Yeah. I mean, this happens to new and old homes.
Yeah.
We just recently, we had this very incident over on 3300 South in Salt Lake, and in a portion where they had just redone the road and the utilities underneath it, but some of the utilities were directional drilled, and they had snapped through 2 brand new plastic sewer lines. And so it's hard to, I mean, people listening, but the directional drills, they don't go straight. They don't find A and B and then it's just a straight line. It really depends on the soil that they're drilling through. If it's a softer, harder, rockier soil, those drills can kind of go up, down, and kind of like a wave. And they try to keep them as straight as they possibly can. They really do. But they will do kind of a wave. And a sewer line, your sewer line might be 8 feet deep and they're going to be above it, and your neighbors might be 7 feet deep. Well, splitting that difference is pretty hard when you're doing a straight line, let alone a line that has a little wave to it. So they might miss yours but nick your neighbors, and now your neighbor has a problem but you don't.
Well, and not to mention, like, when you come out and you blue stake a neighborhood, all you're doing is getting an aerial view of where those things are. Blue stakes don't give you depth, right?
No, and they don't even give you exacts. You got 2 feet on each side, so technically you got a 4-foot area. It's going to be in this 4-foot area and roughly this deep.
And when you're talking about blue stakes, they normally will locate the city's utilities. So the main line in the road that runs parallel to the road, they don't always pick up those laterals coming perpendicular to that. And so the ones you're drilling across, you often don't have any idea where they're at.
Gotcha.
Almost never do you really know where they're at.
So, and I guess the reason we're doing this is because it was interesting to me. Like, I'd never thought of that being the aspect. And you're saying with more cities putting in fiber and, this high-speed internet that we're putting in, it's great. But just be aware. So if you are in your neighborhood and you notice, or like in my neighborhood, they came through. So I guess I have dodged a bullet because they came through and they actually put fiber in. We got a note on the door. They said, hey, we've marked things off. Stay out of these areas because we're going to be doing some directional drilling. If you ever get a notice like that for the next week or two, keep an eye on your sewer drain, like when you're flushing things, and make sure you're not having little backups happen in the house, like because that could have happened. Now, you mentioned like these fiber optic companies, they don't mean to do this. This isn't intentional.
Right.
And like, you haven't come across ones that aren't willing to come and like repair the problem, right?
For the most part, yeah, they've been pretty good about it. Most of them keep a fund aside knowing they're going to hit some sewer lines, and so they've got money set aside in part of the project for fixing those that they hit. Some of them come in and do it themselves. A lot of them will hire it out to have somebody else come do it so they don't have to stop their progress and come back and fix one. And so there's several companies around here that call us anytime they find one that's happened, and we go out and we fix it, and the fiber company typically foots the bill to get that repaired.
So when they do this and you go out and repair it, are you like raising the height of the fiber line? Are you putting it under? Like how are you is the fiber conduit flexible enough that you can like bend it? Are they having to come and like redo the fiber connection at all?
A little bit of all of the above.
Yep.
So we'll go whichever the shortest distance to get it out of the way is, above or below. Above is preferred. But yeah, there is some flex. You usually have to dig a little bit wider to get enough flex out of it. And most of the time, the fiber company wants one of their people on site to kind of oversee that and make sure it goes in properly. And most of the time when they do the drilling, the part they're pulling in is just the conduit itself. There's no actual cable in it yet. And so you're just bending an empty tube. That they can, but they've got to make sure it doesn't bend too sharp to be able to feed that cable into later.
That makes sense.
And so, and most of the time they'll have somebody on site to just make sure it goes away. That'll work for them feeding the cable. But yeah, it's a matter of just repositioning that conduit to get around the sewer.
Yep. You brought up a good point. If you
really,
yeah, that's finally I get it. I know, right?
I need another button with the sound effect.
That wasn't a dad joke.
And now we got to wait for that to finish.
It doesn't take very long.
Yeah, it was pretty quick.
But every time it finishes, I just want to like roll in the house is a podcast about the. Anyway, sorry.
Conditioned yourself.
So remind everyone what I said. That was
it
so
was
smart.
a great idea. It was a great point. So if you notice that they've been in your neighborhood and you said to wait 2 weeks, and that's a good rule of thumb. A lot of the ones that we actually get called out to and find out that this is the case. The homeowner doesn't even know that anybody's been there because they could be 2 or 3 blocks down doing the drilling, and then everything that runs in front of your home or your resident is all underground. You don't even know nobody's there. And so they've cleaned up and they're long gone. And so you don't get a name, you don't get a company, you don't get any of those things. And then it's usually about that 2 weeks, if they've nicked your line, that you've got a backup. If they've drilled right straight through it, it's days, real quick. And so it's always a good idea if you do get a chance to see them, or you see the markings on the ground, which is paint, pink, orange, purple, any other colors.
No, most of the time you're going to be pink and orange for fiber stuff.
Yeah, and so if you see those things, start watching your drains for about 2 weeks, and after about 2 weeks you should be good. But that is a good point to pay attention to those things, because we run into more of this issue where the homeowner didn't even know they were there. And so to track down the company is sometimes impossible.
Got it. That's no fun. So do they canvass the neighborhood and be like, hey, did you guys get any notices or find out anything?
Sometimes you can usually get a hold of the city and find out who pulled the permit.
You wait till you get the coupon on the door that's like, new fiber internet in the neighborhood.
And until that coupon comes, you're just dealing with the backed up sewer line.
That's no fun. Don't want to procrastinate those. Kind of a gamble, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It's not funny. They're not funny. We're just laughing at
Especially
episode 41.
I feel like we need a roofing analogy.
So unless you listen to episode 41, it's not
we've
worth
gotten away
rewinding.
from the roofing
Yeah,
analogies.
we kind
Let's not
of
go back.
beat that one to death.
We did. Anything else? I mean, it's not a super long episode. I thought it was fun to say, the dirty business of
it is
fiber
interesting.
optics.
And I guess
It's
one thing we
absolutely
could
fun to
add.
say.
One thing we
the
could
dark side of fiber optics. Dun, dun, dun.
What is that? 2020? Is that or Dateline? It's a Dateline episode. You made a face and then said nothing with it. What am I?
Current affairs. The current affairs. The sound of a current affairs.
Well, I was thinking
With the
the
triangle?
only thing that like those Dateline shows are like known for are the like what would you do in these situations
yeah.
and the to catch a predator.
Oh,
and I was thinking like to catch fiber optic.
There you go.
company
There you
or
go.
something.
No, another thing I'd say to watch for is once that backup occurs, you get the water down, you have somebody reputable come out, put a camera down to show you what's going on. A lot of times those those fiber optic cable conduits, I did not realize what I was getting into when I started
now
that
why you
phrase.
shortened it to cabers.
Yeah, that
Cabers?
the cabers.
Yeah, to cabers.
I did not realize how many words I was getting into there. Those conduits that they put in there are orange a lot of times, and so you'll get a camera in there and you'll see an orange thing sticking through your pipe, sometimes black, but more commonly orange. And so if you see that orange big old thing running through the middle of your sewer line in that camera feed, there's a really good indication you got a fiber line drilled through your sewer.
Good to know. Anything else? We're going to wrap this one up.
Wrap it.
That's the show. That's how I wrap the.
That's and we're done.
Are you guys going to start coming with some jokes, some dad jokes? Like so
you want real jokes
I can get
or
you some
jokes like
jokes.
yours?
jokes? Well, I mean, if you want to like try, it's hard to find real jokes that are like. I mean, jokes have evolved so much. Like comedians and stand up, like
yeah.
there's just
less and less
there's
appropriate.
more story. Well, that too,
Yep.
but like more story and like
Real
I don't know.
experiences is
It
what
really
jokes
is
are.
kind of an art form.
those
so.
little quick, like what did one hat say to the other? Stay here.
not
I'll
quick.
go on
I'm
ahead.
going ahead. All right, you want to hear one? This one is legitimately from a Laffy Taffy.
Do it.
What would it mean if they found bones on the moon?
Nothing.
No, that's not. It would mean something.
Oh yeah, it would mean something.
And if I
It's
wanted
not
to
a
know,
hoax.
if I
It
wanted to
wasn't done
know
on a
what
green
it means, if I wanted to know what it
just
meant,
found some bones on the moon, Jesse.
what would it mean?
The cow didn't make it.
That is a good one.
Those are the kinds of jokes. Yes, I want you to come hard with those jokes.
All right.
We need a spreadsheet.
All right, we have a
built
standard.
Today.
We have a standard.
We're gonna start putting them in there.
Actually, before the episode started, when I was like, "Hang on, I just gotta like check through it," I've started a thing every time I hear a funny
Can
like
you just
dad
share
joke.
that with me?
I have no, because then you'll know they're coming. Like we have to keep them.
Memorize all the punchlines.
Well, I didn't memorize it. I just went and like caught one. But like, no, we have to. We'll have to keep them separate because I don't want to see it coming. Like, I mean, obviously, what would it mean if they like? Obviously, there's
Right,
a punchline.
Yeah.
Okay,
we could ask Surrey just to tell jokes at the beginning.
It's Alexa, but we haven't gotten one of those yet.
You have an iPhone.
Well, I know, but I don't know if that works. Hey Siri, tell me a joke.
You might want to be specific.
I went to the store to get a book about turtles. Hardbacks? Asked the shopkeeper. Yes, I replied. They also have little tiny heads.
So
Let's not ask Siri for
the
jokes.
joke
Yeah,
she
that
was
was-
making there is that
Turtles have
a
hardback.
hardcover book, a hardback book. Yeah, turtles have those too.
And small heads.
Hey Siri, tell me a joke. Let's see if she goes to the same well.
Did you hear about the criminal ink?
I didn't.
It was in the pen doing a long sentence.
You like
Ooh,
pens,
that's a good one.
You like the-
I'm adding that one to my repertoire.
but like criminal ink.
It was doing a long sentence.
I know, but like, what's a criminal ink?
It's a joke.
Well, but I mean,
Why would a hat talk to another hat? Like it's a.
The cow didn't really jump to the moon, Mike.
well, it didn't make it. If we find those
It
bones,
made it to the moon.
how awesome!
Why are we
would-
explaining our own jokes to ourselves?
How awesome would it have been if Neil Armstrong, instead of one small step, if he had like a dad joke on lock and he was just
He
like,
really missed an opportunity.
Well, looks like the cow didn't make it. That would have been amazing.
That would have been amazing.
He was
Austin,
worried
you got
about
any Halloween
Opportunity
jokes?
missed.
Halloween's over.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
I
we're
was just
moving on
wondering.
with our lives.
Christmas. You
I
got a
was just
Christmas
wondering.
joke? Ooh, hang on. You think of one. Hey Siri, tell me a Christmas joke.
Well,
I'm not sure I understand. Austin, tell me a Christmas joke.
Well, I don't know, a Christmas joke just like to whip out. Do you guys have tell me a 4th of July joke?
Okay, so what did one firework say to the other?
I think that was set up.
I'm having a blast.
That's
that
what he
was
said.
good.
Okay, give me another one.
Okay, what did one Christmas tree say to the other Christmas tree?
I don't know. What?
Well, I mean, we were just giving you an example. You
No,
were
you
supposed
two
to
work together. I needed. Okay, Jesse, hit the punchline.
I don't have a punchline for Christmas tree. Say, you look lit. I don't know.
Ooh,
Nice.
Okay. All right.
this party's lit.
And met so
God, I
many
got
people.
stuck on
You
ornaments
could take
there.
that so many different ways.
I was okay. So I'm gonna wrap up with this story, and then we're gonna stop.
Let's hope it's better than the Christmas tree joke we
It
just
is
made up.
100% better.
Whatever.
Than
That was an on the fly punchline.
That was a long fly.
So
Well,
growing up, there was a
not my problem.
friend of mine. There was a friend of mine that his dad was a lawyer, and he was he had the cheesiest dad jokes. Always had a one-liner ready.
I like him.
You know what I mean? And so years go by. I come back into town. I'm going to lunch with this friend, and I just had heard on the radio that Chris Farley had died.
Oh.
And so we're sitting down at the it was a Chinese restaurant. I don't know why I remember that.
Because
But
Chinese food's delicious.
it is delicious. That
Orange
reminded
chicken,
me of a new buffet place that I found. Anyway, so so we're sitting down, and I tell him, I'm like, oh, did you hear that Chris Farley died? And he looks at me, and he was like, he was disturbed for a second. He's like, really? I was like, yeah, really. He's like, oh, I get it. How'd he die?
I thought you were telling a joke.
Exactly. His dad had like trained him so well that there's always like a punchline.
Oh,
And
my.
I didn't have one for that. I was like, no, he really
He
died.
legitimately died. It's a very sad day.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the thing. Come with dad jokes next time we record a dream
All right.
episode.
You got it.
That's the show. We'll be back next Tuesday with a new episode of In the House. Thanks so much for listening. If you'd like to know more about Any Hour Services, visit anyhourservices.com. I've been your host, Mike Wilson, and you've been listening to
In the House.
That was probably the most unison one yet.